Hello my fellow working class heroes, good day. I am Carlo and welcome to Carlo Excels. In this episode, we will talk about the Sungka Calculator. These are the objectives of this episode. First, we're gonna talk about the overview of the Sungka Calculator, and then we'll talk about how to download the Sungka Calculator and then how to use the Sungka Calculator. Before anything else, if you're new to this channel, hello, this is Carlo Excels, a channel that is dedicated to teaching my fellow teachers here in the Philippines Microsoft Excel. Occasionally, I also create Microsoft Excel tools like this that will be helpful for my fellow teachers. Please like this video and share this video to your fellow teachers and drop a comment down below. It'll really help with the YouTube algorithm and help those who are searching for this to find this. Thank you. So what are the features of the Sungka Calculator? The Sungka Calculator can be used to calculate the outcome of moves in a game of Sungka with standard Filipino rules. The Sungka Calculator can be used for Sungka games with a maximum of 7 houses and 1 base per player. The Sungka Calculator can be used to calculate Sungka games with up to 100 active shells. The Sungka Calculator can be used to calculate up to 50 turns of a Sungka game. The Sungka Calculator can be used for Sungka games with either first turn turn-based rules or first turn real-time rules. This Sungka Calculator is a Microsoft Excel template. It does not have any Visual Basic Code or macros, and it is compatible with Microsoft Office versions as old as 2007. Please note that this Sungka Calculator is made to not be compatible with Google Sheets, so you can't use it online. You can only download it and use it offline. To download the Sungka Calculator, please check the descriptions down below if you're watching this on YouTube. You should find a download link there, which should lead you to the page that you see on the screen right now. So, if you click on the download button on the upper right corner of the screen, it should lead you to download the zip file, and if you extract the contents of that zip file, you should get the Sungka Calculator. This Sungka Calculator is free to download, distribute, and use. So if I'm giving it for free and you're allowed to distribute it to whoever you want, what's the catch? Well, there is no catch. The only thing I will ask of you is, when you give it to somebody else, please do not sell it and please give it to them in its unedited form. Now, I really need to say this part. This Sungka Calculator is made to be a teaching tool. However, we all know that anything that is a teaching tool can unfortunately also be turned into a cheating tool. This Sungka Calculator is not created to be a cheating tool. Please do not use this Sungka Calculator to cheat in official Sungka games, because I'm aware that there are certain schools or probably certain towns that use Sungka as some sort of game or some sort of tournament. This is not meant to cheat in those games, please. So please don't use it to cheat. Please use it to guide you in making your decisions before matches when you're doing your research, but do not use it during actual matches. So when you get the Sungka Calculator file, the Sungka Calculator file, please be patient with it. It is a massive 20 megabyte Excel template. Excel files are not supposed to be that big, and so therefore it's going to take some time to load. But once you load it, this is the screen that should be greeting you. But before we talk about the Sungka Calculator, let's first review the game of Sungka. What you can see on the screen right now is your standard Sungka game board picture, which I found on the internet. Please note that in this video, I am not going to discuss the standard rules of Sungka and how to play Sungka, because there are actually many more YouTube videos that you can find which teaches that already. So you can simply search YouTube with the keywords how to play Sungka, and you should find a lot of resources regarding that. So this video already assumes that you already know how to play Sungka. So when you are playing Sungka, please note that when you're playing Sungka and the game board is facing you, this part over here, please follow my mouse cursor. This part over here, which is facing you, is your side of the game board, right? And this part that is not facing you is the opponent's side. To be honest, I do not know what these sides are called, but for simplicity's sake, let's call this side the side that's facing you, the blue side, and the side that's facing the opponent, the red side. Now, as far as the blue side and the red sides are concerned, you will see these 14 holes, 7 on each side, and then these 2 big holes in the left and the right. Now, in standard Sungka terminology, these holes over here, the smaller holes, are called houses, or in Tagalog, we call that Bahay, right? So, these 7 holes over here are the blue side houses, and these 7 holes on the opposite direction are the red side houses. And then the holes to the right, the hole to the right, to your right, is called your blue ulo, or that's the standard Filipino name, or that's another name for that is the head. But I don't the word head does not make sense to me. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to call that the base or the home base. So as far as labeling is concerned, so that you're not so confused, this is how the Sungka calculator labels the parts of the Sungka board. So you have the blue side over here, again facing you, and you have the red side on the opposite direction. So you have blue house 1, blue house 2, blue house 3, blue house 4, blue house 5, blue house 6, blue house 7, and then the blue base, your base. And then you have on the red side, red house 1, red house 2, red house 3, red house 4, red house 5, red house 6, red house 7, and then you have the red base, your opposite, your opponent's side. So going back to the Sungka calculator, that is how the Sungka board is represented. So once again, this is blue house 1, this is blue house 2, blue house 3, blue house 4, 5, 6, 7, and then of course the blue home base. This is red house 1, red house 2, red house 3, red house 4, red house 5, red house 6, red house 7, and then of course the red home base. On this part of the Sungka calculator, you can do your initial setup. So you can tweak just a little bit what the starting game board is going to look like. For now, we're going to use the standard initial setup for the game board, which is 98 total shells, and then you have 7 shells on each house. So 7 on each house for both the blue side and the red side. So let's scroll down a little bit, and then we're ready. Now that we've assuming that we've already done our initial setup, we're now ready for turn 1, the first turn. Now, please note that there are 2 ways to play Sungka. There is first the real-time way of playing Sungka, and there is the turn-based way of playing Sungka. For simplicity's sake, let us first start with talking about turn-based Sungka. Turn-based Sungka is when the blue side or player 1 or one of the players goes first, and then the second player goes next, and then the first player goes next, etc. according to the standard rules of Sungka. So looking at the screen right now, you have here, it says there, turn 1, expected to move blue side. Please note that this template defaults to the blue side for the first turn. But of course, if, for example, you decided by coin toss that the red side is going to move first, then no problem, the red side can move first. So, say for example, the blue side or the blue player is going to have their first turn. So you will see there, this is the current status of the game board, as you can see on the screen. So you have 7 shells on each space, and of course, any Sungka player worth his weight in salt knows that the very first turn should almost always be the blue house 1 or the red house 1 if the red player goes first. So let's do that. Now, if you move using blue house 1, we expect what's going to happen is you're going to distribute the shells to the right, counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. So 7 over here, so it goes like this. You put 1 shell here, 1, then here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you end in the blue base, and then of course the blue player keeps his turn because he landed in home base. So how do you select? How do you use this? How do you start calculating for the move? See this space over here which says move? What you're supposed to do is you select the move. So because we said a while ago, the first turn should be blue house 1. So if you click on this small arrow over here via drop down box, please select blue 1. Now please note, when you select blue 1, the template actually has to do like hundreds of calculations to try to calculate the distribution of shells for the Sungka board. So it might take a few seconds to finish calculating. So please be patient with the template. So let's select blue house 1 and then let's see what happens. And there you go. There are the results. Now this part of the template over here, it says their final house visited. So you will see over here, remember that this is where we started, 7, and then we put 1 shell here, 1 shell here, 1 shell here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and this is where you land, the blue home base. So this is the final house that you visited during this particular turn. That is why it says there, final house visited, blue base. And then next, on this space over here, it says number of houses visited. It says there 1. It says 1 because you only landed on 1 house and did not take a turn or did not get any shells or do another lap afterwards. Again, you started with blue house 1 and then went here, 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 and then stopped here. Because you stopped here, this is the only house that you visited, and therefore it says there number of houses visited 1. So on the bottom part, you will see there turn 2, expected to move. The player who is expected to move is the blue player. And again, the reason for that is because the blue player landed on his home base and therefore he is expected to move again. And you will see the game board has already changed based on the movement done on turn 1. So it's already actually automatically calculating. So blue is expected to move again, and this is the result now of the board after turn 1. So let's scroll down over here and let's go to turn 2 so that we can see the result of turn 2. So turn 2, let's say for example, again, the blue player is going to move next. Let's say for example that the blue player is going to select blue 2 as his next move. So as per standard Sungka rules, right? This is the way it's supposed to work. So you have 8 shells here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blue base because this is the blue player. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you take these shells over here. So that's 7 plus the 1 shell that you added. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is supposed to be 9 right now, and then you add another shell, so that's 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc., etc. So we're going to move blue 2. If you're going to research Sungka, if you're going to like study for a big match, and you normally have to do this manually, you normally have to get a Sungka board and do this manually, but this Sungka calculator, you only have to do clicks. So let's say for example, we're going to move with blue 2. So again, on the move space over here, we select blue 2 and then wait for a few seconds for the calculator to calculate this blue 2, and then there you go. You'll see there on turn 3, calculation has now been completed. So looking over here, after the blue player has moved blue house 2, you will see there that the final house visited was still blue base. Because after all of the rotations done, the final house that you landed on was still the blue base. And then you will see there number of houses visited 12. This has been a very long term, a lot of counting has been done. Again, number of houses visited means how many houses did you drop on during this particular turn. So once again, you start here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 house visited. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 houses visited. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3 houses visited, etc., etc. So in this particular turn, by moving blue 2, you have visited a total of 12 houses, and your final house visited is blue base. So therefore, in turn 3, expected to move is still the blue player. So let's scroll down to turn 3 right here so that we can see turn 4 and the results as well. So in turn 3, let's say for example, that blue player is going to move with blue house 2. So we can expect, because these are small numbers, we can more or less expect where this is gonna go. So blue house 2 is going to go 1, 2, and then over here you're going to go 1, 2. Now, because you land on one of your houses, as per standard Sungka rules, when you land on one house on your side, you are able to take all of the shells on the opposing side's house, and then you put all of this to your base. So what's going to happen is, we expect, if we move blue 2, we expect to land on blue 6, and then we expect to get the shell that you used to land on plus the 5 shells on the opposite direction. So you're supposed to have 6 additional shells here. So let's try that. Let's move with blue 2. A few seconds, and calculations complete. So just like we predicted, final house visited is blue 6, and the number of houses visited is 2. And now you can see you now have 14 shells in blue in your blue base. Because you did not land, or the blue player rather did not land on home base, it is now the red player's turn to move. So that is why it says there expected to move red, the red player. So let's say for example the red player moves with red 1. So let's try counting it manually. So let's scroll that down. Let's say he moves with red 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Red home base, because this is the red player. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oops, the red player is going to land on blue 6. And because he landed on his opponent's side, he's not going to be able to take any shells whatsoever. So let's try that if that is the result. So again, we move with red 1. Few seconds to calculate. And that is the result. Final house visited, blue 6. Number of houses visited, just 1. And then, expected to move next is the blue player. So that's how we use the template whenever we have a turn-based game. But just like I mentioned in the introduction of this video, you can actually also use this Sungka Calculator if you have a first turn real-time game. First turn real-time games are the standard of Sungka games, especially when you have Sungka competitions or Sungka tournaments, because they're much more fair and far less predictable. What happens during a first turn real-time game is, instead of one player moving first and the next player moving next and the next player moving next, what happens is, during the first turn, both players move at the exact same time, and whoever finishes first gets to take the next turn. So during cases like that, how exactly are you going to use a Sungka calculator? Well, you can allow the two players to finish their turns. After the two players finish their turns, then you input the number of shells in each and every house here, and that's where you start using the Sungka calculator. So for example, after both players have already done their turns, let's say for example, red house 7 has 0 shells remaining, so you enter 0 there and press enter, and then allow the Sungka calculator to calculate to process and finish calculating. So for example, red house 6 has 6 shells left, and then let's say red house 5 has 13 shells left, and then you can continue changing the statuses of each and every house so that you have your initial starting position, and then you can proceed with using the Sungka calculator from there. The Sungka calculator can also do custom games. So for example, if you're going to play a Sungka game that has not 7 shells per house, but rather starting with 5 shells per house, once again you can adjust it from here. Please note, however, that the Sungka calculator can only take so much. As a standard, it is supposed to start with 7 shells per house for a maximum of 98 shells. However, once you hit more than that, there is the risk that the Sungka calculator will not be able to handle the calculations for such a large number of shells. So the standard is 98 total shells. If you want to go more than that, try it, but there is no guarantee that the Sungka calculator can handle that. Also, please note that the Sungka calculator can handle burnt houses as well. Or in Tagalog, we call that the Sunog Bahay. So, in terms of burnt houses, what happens is you disable some of the houses based on certain rules or certain conditions. Or sometimes you may play Sungka games. I've seen certain classrooms do their Sungka games out of recycled materials. Some, in fact, have used empty egg cartons. Now, we know that in empty egg cartons, there are only 6 possible houses on each side. So, you disable one of the houses in that sense. In terms of the Sunog Bahay rule, or in other words, the burnt houses rule, how do you do that here? Well, you can see on the initial setup that each and every house has the word active below it. If you choose burnt at the bottom right here, you can actually disable the house, and you will see that this turns into 0 right here. So what happens during this case is you effectively disabled this particular house because it is burnt. Alright, you effectively disable this particular house, and this house is not going to be included in the calculations when the template or when the calculator starts distributing the shells after the player moves. So, ready to use a Sungka calculator? Here's a challenge I'd like to pose to my viewers. Try to download this Sungka calculator and then try to assess if you are playing a turn-based game. If you're playing a turn-based game and if you are going to move first, how many consecutive moves can you do without letting the red player play? Alright, if you're the blue player, how many consecutive moves can you do without letting the red player play? And how many shells can you gather in your base without having the red player make a turn? So far, personally, I've been able to make 24 straight turns for a total of 72 shells in my base. Try beating that. And then, if you are able to beat that, post your combinations, post your moves down below in the comment section. So, because we're nearing the end of this video, once again, if you're new to this channel, hello, this is Carlo Excels, a channel that is dedicated to teaching my fellow teachers here in the Philippines Microsoft Excel. And once again, occasionally, I also create Excel tools like this that will be helpful to my fellow teachers or Sungka players. Once again, please like this video and please share this video to your fellow teachers or fellow Sungka players, and please drop a comment down below. It'll really help with the YouTube algorithm and help those who are searching for this to find this. So that's it for this video on the Salacia Sungka Calculator. I really hope I earned your subscription today. Once again, I am Carlo and this is Carlo Excels. Thank you very much for watching.